Hi there, welcome to another RHLSTP, remotely recorded, this one with Mark Watson. Now, mild apology, the sound recording on this one is not up to our usual high standards, which is because Mark Watson is a fucking idiot, and even though the one thing we told him to do was not turn off his laptop at the end, he did that. We have a thing that uploads the audio to the cloud so we can get crisp audio from both sides, but he fucked it up, because he's a wanker. What can I say? But it was a lovely interview, and I think you'll enjoy it nonetheless. We're doing these on Wednesdays on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/rkherring, usually at 8 o'clock. We were going to do one with Bill Burr last Wednesday, but he had to reschedule. I'll let you know as soon as that one goes up. That should be worth watching. And we'll keep on trying to come up with fantastic guests for you during this difficult time. We have quite a few in the bag. And hopefully we'll be back in theatres soon, but it's nice for people who can't get to the theatres to watch them live, so we might very well carry on doing these even once the theatres are reopened. Who knows? If you want to support us, you can support us in a myriad of ways. You can subscribe on Twitch. You can do that if you're with Amazon Prime at no cost to yourself. So if you're an Amazon Prime member, if you look in the YouTube videos, there's a video explaining how you do it. Do it on a browser, not on an app. But basically, you link your accounts, and then you're able to subscribe every month. You have to come back every month to do it. It's a slight ball ache, but you give us £3.50 every time you do it every month. And if enough of you do it, that will help us pay for more podcasts. Or if you want to get something in return and you want to pay actual money, why not become a badger at gofasterstrike.com/badges. You can pay £3 a month, £5 a month, £10 a month, whatever you want a month. You get a different coloured badge if you pay a bit more. Here's the golden badge. You get a cool little membership pack. You get secret codes, additional emergency questions, little badge, a little Richie Herring there, and you get advance warning of the guests, you get entered in a draw, you get ad-free podcasts, all sorts of lovely stuff for you if you want to go to gofasterstripe.com/badges. You can also buy wonderful trump cards at Go Faster Stripe, which will help make more podcasts. You can buy wonderful emergency questions books at Go Faster Stripe, which will help us make more podcasts. You can get downloads of my stand-up shows at Go Faster Stripe, which will give some money to me and Chris Evans, not that one. Do what you will, my fine friends. But do keep watching the Twitch channel, stone clearing, snooker, occasional director's commentaries, and I want to try, once I've written my book, to expand it and try some different stuff as well. So please support that if you can, even if it's just by viewing. Everything will remain free, because let the rich pay, let the poor enjoy for free. Please only feel you have to make any donations if you can afford it. If you can afford it, you don't have to even give anything. It's still free, but it's up to you and your conscience and how you feel about enjoying all this stuff for 0p. Hoping to be back soon doing lots of other stuff, but I'm enjoying doing this bits and pieces. There's some great podcasts coming up, but let's sit back, relax, and listen and watch a slightly buzzy and Dalek-y Mark Watson. He's improvising it all. It's improvisation, my dear Mark Watson. Hello, how are we doing? Welcome to my beautiful attic. My children's paintings on the wall there. Welcome to another episode of Richard Herring's Lockdown Sexual Tension podcast. There's always a bit of sexual tension between me and the guests on these podcasts as we FaceTime each other using our video cameras. My guest today is in bed. It could get very sexy, is all I'm saying. Could be a good time. Oh, my mic's drifted onto shot there, but at least look at that. There's nothing sexier than that. Thank you very much for all being here. We've got 363 viewers already. Welcome. Hello everyone in the chat room. If you're listening on the podcast in the future, I hope it's all right there. We're surviving, most of us, so far. But I was talking to the old lady who drives a mobility scooter around the field where I do my stone clearing this morning. She calls it RHLSTP, so I don't know if that's going to catch on. That might catch on. So what's been going on? Not a lot has been going on because we're in lockdown. I've been my favourite hour of the day. I work for a day and then I look after the kids for a day. In the middle of the day, 12:30 to 1:30, whoever's been working looks after the kids for an hour, and that is my favourite hour of whichever day it is. Because if you're working, an hour with the kids is great, and if you're not working and you're looking after the kids, an hour away from the kids is even better. So that's 12:30 to 1:30 is my beautiful time. I spent a sunny day drawing chalk outlines around the shadows of my children on Tuesday, and it was sort of beautiful and poignant, this moment catching time, but also echoes of Hiroshima and Nagasaki as well, where everyone was turned into a shadow. So it was sort of a poignant moment, full of terror, but somehow beautiful. I'm sort of slightly going mad. I know that's a weird thing to say when I play snooker against myself and move stones around a field. But I had a dream last night in which I was in and watching a James Bond film that got incredibly psychologically violent. James Bond was cutting people's tendons. It went on for a long time. And today, my son had been messing around. Maybe yesterday it was. I can't even remember time. My son was messing around my glasses and hit them quite hard. And then I looked at them later. Massive crack here. Cracked. A little dent and a definite crack. I thought, oh, God, I put them on. I thought, oh, they still work. It's okay. Maybe once the lockdown's over, I can get them repaired somehow, but maybe I don't need to because it's fine. Took them off and looked at them again, and you can look at them. I mean, they're a bit smudged, but there is no crack there. That's my son's fingerprints all over it. What's going on? I definitely saw them broken, and they're not broken. Either they're self-repairing, or I've gone mad, and I think they're self-repairing. What else has been going on? RHLSTP came into second place in the big comedy podcasts World Cup of podcasts, and that's some comedy nerds on Facebook had set up a World Cup, beaten by Off Menu, which I can't believe won. I saw it the other day, and it was a bloke chose 4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie as his main course, some made up pudding as his pudding, crisps as his starter. How the fuck is that, man? It's the worst podcast I've ever seen. So look. We're going to start quite soon. Hopefully my guest is ready to go. But I want to remind you that thanks to your generosity in subscribing on Twitch and also listening to As It Occurs to Me on the RHLSTP feed, we have just given £2,000 to the Just Giving Heckle the Virus campaign to help comedians out who have lost all their work, which is lots of self-employed people need help at the moment. Anyone you can help is fantastic. If you're a comedy goer and you're not going to gigs, maybe consider putting 5 or 10 quid into that fund every month, and it will go to club comedians, not comedians off the telly, people whose only source of income is working in comedy clubs. I'm really worried that comedy clubs will not survive more than a couple of months of this, so we'll see. So even if you just subscribe, some of the money's coming to us, but some of the money's going to Just Giving. So if you subscribe to this feed, then you can help us make more podcasts. You can help these comedians in need. If you're with Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free. You get a free £5 or 5 local currency units to give to us every single month if you want to do it. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed. Thanks to everyone who's remembered to resubscribe for their second month. It's going okay. We've paid for these lights. We've paid for these cameras. We've paid for this microphone. I already had this microphone. But it's all going very well. So thank you very much for your help with that. Do tell your friends about these podcasts. We're up to 510 viewers. It's pretty good. And God knows how many listeners. And let's see what else we've got to talk to you about. Can't believe Off Menu won. And so Justin Lewis on Twitter told me the other day it's 30 years on the 20th of April, which I believe is Hitler's birthday. It's 30 years since the Lee and Herring had their first sketch on the seminal radio 4 show Weekending. So my professional writing career has been going for 30 years. I think that was probably the first job I ever got paid for writing. And it's good to know we're still going. We did a sketch about potatoes in Lithuania. Tonight, I've had a couple of glasses of wine. I'm going to, just delivered, because I was so sick of my bad whiskey. Look at that, whiskey fans. How you feeling, whiskey fans? Talisker single malt Scotch whiskey, 18 years old. I'm going to have a little double of that. I'm not going to have a quadruple like I did last week. The lockdown has somewhat inhibited my not drinking phrase. And whiskey's the worst thing to drink. But let's give it. They haven't sponsored me, but if Talisker want to send me a case of... they could send me the 30-year-old if they want to. I couldn't afford that. If you've been following the snooker, I I've been looking up how much those presentation packs that Boring Me 14 has are worth. You'd think that was an investment to lay down. They're all worth about 95p, which is actually about what the stamps would cost if you put them on a fucking envelope. I've been keeping those stamps since 1978, and they're worth nothing. The post office lied to me. Anyway, cheers to people watching. Cheers to you if you're listening in June or July in the future. I have a fabulous guest for you again, booked on the day. It's quite smoky, smokier than the usual Talisker. Don't like it. My guest today, he's probably best known as being the engineer in The Lift. That's a bona fide film, not a job he's done. Who am I kidding? I never do the same one twice, but he is best known for his appearance as Mark Watson on Improvisation, my dear Mark Watson, and that is all we're going to talk to him about again today. Will you please welcome, I hope he's there, it's Mark Watson, ladies and gentlemen. There he is, Mark Watson.
I hope I'm here as well.
I hope you are.
I can't tell if I am or not. I mean, I'm definitely here.
Yeah.
But am I on the call?
I think you are. I can see you. You look beautiful. I'm just trying to... I'm a bit lower down than you. Chris Evans gets worried about the fact we're not the same size. I could do that. Oh, there we go. I'll meet you halfway. There we go. And then I'll just go a bit.
Yeah.
That's very good. How are you doing?
Well, the main problem is the old COVID, isn't it, Richard? I tell you what, this has been a shocking pandemic from my point of view.
Has
it really has.
Yeah, you're not enjoying it.
Listen, we've all had an up and down pandemic. I've had there's been bits where I thought I can handle this, but today, for example, my kids have been very difficult. The kids are still in the house. I've just kind of parked them for a bit. Once you get past 8 o'clock and your kids already aren't in bed and you're doing a popular podcast, you sort of just have to hold your hands up and say, "This is fucked now." I reckon about 2 in every 3 days of this pandemic, I've thought, all right, this is all right.
Yeah.
We can do this. Perhaps, if anything, I'm more creatively stimulated because we all want to find solutions. And then 1 in every 3 days, you think, this is awful, actually. And today started off as a good one, but then, with all due respect to the kids, once the kids came into the equation, see, my thing is the kids don't live with me. Live with their mums, but she's only down the road. So I've got a similar situation to you, but my thing is I have to take them for part of every day.
Yeah.
Typically, I get up very early so that I can make the most of the bit of the day where it's fine. Yeah. And then the bit where they're with me, through no fault of theirs really, is not so much fine as wine. And I have a very large glass of wine here. That's good.
Well, I wish that I'd broken up from my wife, because then, unfortunately, if anything, the pandemic is bringing us closer together than they ever were. But it would be nice to just have half a day where you just don't have to do anything with the kids at all. And then you get half a day where you have to do everything with the kids. I would settle for that. It's just like the middle ground. No help from anyone. My mother-in-law would usually come round for a day a week and give us some kind of respite.
Because of the old COVID.
Yeah, she's not allowed round. She's not allowed round. So it's
not allowed round. And the thing, like, to do you justice, you didn't know that it was a good idea to break up with your wife, because you, like everyone, didn't know the old pandemic was coming, did you?
If I'd known, what I would ideally have done is just broken up with her at the start of the pandemic and then got back together with her at the end of the pandemic. That would have been perfect for me, because I love her and everything, and I want to be with her. I mean, I don't know if she feels the same, but I would like to have had more time to myself.
I think the dream is normal life, relationship, pandemic, maybe solo.
But who knows? I am sort of enjoying it. I live in the countryside. I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm getting to draw Nagasaki death marks around my kids. I'm enjoying that.
Where is it? Hertfordshire, that sort of thing.
We're near Hitchin in Hertfordshire. It's idyllic. I can clear stones from a field.
Look at those beams. I mean, you've got some.
I've got beams. Got a beautiful old house.
That is a venerable attic. That's a house that's been lived in for a while.
It is. It's 1700. It was originally built, and it's an old house. I wish we'd gone for a bigger garden than we did. We went for a house rather than a garden. There is still a garden, though, so I'm not complaining, but it's not... It would be good if it was far enough to just send the kids running down right to the end of it. And
again, not your fault, because when you were weighing up that house versus garden equation, you probably didn't think, well, what would be the situation in which we would most crave outside space? It would be if there was, for example, an enormous global pandemic. Yeah. And once more, we didn't expect it.
No one was looking out for that.
We've got a garden.
Yeah.
But it's the same problem. I would have prioritised it much more if I'd known that it would soon be impossible to leave the house.
So we'll come back to it. I'm sure we'll come back to the pandemic.
It's very hard to sort of leave the old pando out of conversation.
It is.
For long.
The people listening to this as a podcast will be a couple of months into the future, so it's kind of, if there are any people by that stage, the people watching us are watching us live. So we're playing to two audiences, one of which is Riley going, the poor fool, they had no idea what was to come. And I usually do this in the podcast, and every time I do it, the people then at the time go, you said that ironic thing, and it's doubly ironic because it's 20 times as bad. So hopefully something else will have gone wrong. But
I like to believe there will still be people in, say, July to download this. But
I hope there are some. It's not given. I hope there are some. Luckily, my fan base is very young, healthy, fit people.
Me too. The good thing about being a middle-aged male comedian is your fan base can definitely ride out a pandemic.
Last week, I got a bit scared and thought I better lose some weight and get fit because it's hitting men in their 50s who are a little bit overweight. And then this week I went, not sure I can be bothered. So,
difficult to be motivated about your health when business is going on, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is difficult, but we're going to be okay. So look,
let's not dwell on the bloody pandemic.
We can talk about anything we want to talk about, and we will do. I want to talk about all sorts of things. Let's talk about being the engineer in the lift. I didn't talk about that to you last time you were on. I don't think that's one of your two acting roles on IMDb. Is it you, or is it a different Mark Watson? You were the voice of an engineer in the lift.
This is, even for you, this is a pretty niche bit of research.
Yeah.
So I wrote something in 2007, which was called The Lift, which is about 2007, so 13 years ago.
I know, it's crazy. I've been writing for 30 years, to the day almost.
It's a biggie, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you started out on Hitler's birthday, I think.
I did.
As it happens. You've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
It was a BBC 4 thing, a one-off comedy drama about four people stuck in a lift. Douglas Hodge was in it, if you know.
I do. Wow, he's good.
Very funny.
He's very good.
And there was a bit where I can't remember it very well, but it was something like the lift got fixed, and the engineer says something like, "All right, just stay patient, and we'll get you out of there in 10 minutes." And having written the thing, that line was given to me, I think because I was actually there when they were recording it, and no one else was available to.
Okay.
But I didn't know that was among my.
Yeah, it's right in there. You've only got 2 acting credits. I'm surprised you've only got 2 acting credits, but you have only. I can look for you.
I should probably know. It's not been a stellar acting career.
No,
a lot of comedians are, you'll know.
Yeah.
A lot of comedians are people who basically wanted to be actors, and they've used comedy as a stealth way of becoming an actor.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me.
So they've got loads of acting credits. Me, I never had the slightest idea that I could be an actor. I'm not doing this as a gateway. This is all I've got.
Well, that's good. Pure comedy is what it's about. I would love to do some acting, but actually I've just been in a short film called The Lockdown, in which is about people being locked down and talking to camera, where I had to play a man. It was a bit similar to myself, although he was a single man. Someone complained that he was wearing a wedding ring, because I was wearing my wedding ring, but I then replied to them that I'm 52 years old. Come on, I've been married before. Maybe my wife died and I haven't taken the ring off, that I'm still single.
For sure. I was wearing my wedding ring for 2 or 3 years after my marriage ended, because I could not, in all fairness, get it off my finger. If you wear a wedding ring for long enough, over time it expands, or your finger shrinks or whatever, and the thing was like an absolute clamp. And of course, it was to a more imaginative person perfectly possible to see it as a sort of metaphor.
Yes.
Because I couldn't eventually I had to go to a jeweler's and say, will you cut the ring off my finger, please? And I thought it would be a really demeaning request, but the guy just sort of rolled his eyes as if he had about 10 of these a day. Even before I finished the sentence, he'd clocked me as a divorcee and started to get the cutters ready. It's surprising. I feel like, I've never been at a jeweler's until then, but it's turned out that even though you think of a jeweler's as a place where you romantically buy something for your loved one, they also do quite a good side hustle as a place where you can cut a ring off someone that's made a series of bad decisions.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's because it represents the eternity of love, doesn't it? The circle. But
Exactly.
but if someone's got a saw, then that goes out the window, doesn't it? They've got a proper saw to cut it out.
But you're right. The whole point of the ring is that it is an analogy for the eternity of love under God's, and by extension, the kingdom of heaven and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if you've broken up with your wife, it is a bit tricky to swallow the fact that you accidentally subverted that symbolism. But that was the situation.
Yeah.
And I was really grateful that the guy cut it off with minimal fuss.
Well, I look forward to that moment in my own life. I think I'm going to get through. I'm going to get through my life. I mean, it's sort of not fair because I got married very late.
This is the thing. I got married very early.
Yeah.
I absolutely no disrespect to my ex-wife at all, but I think both of us probably didn't quite know what we were doing. Whereas you married, what, this side of 40? You must have been...
I was well into... I mean, I've been married for 8 years, so I was 45 or something like that, 44, 45.
I think, yeah, because obviously I always have a reasonable handle on how old you are because every 10 years I do a show, which reflects. So, frig, I'm 50. You're about 2 or 3 years north of that.
Yeah, I'm 53 this year. Yeah, and but you're coming up to 40. You're nearly 40, are you? Or you're 40 already?
I've come up to 40. I turned 40 in February.
Right. Okay.
And it's weird because that is so recent, and yet it's February, middle of February, about 2 months and 1 week ago, and the situation in China was in the news, so it wasn't as if we were ignorant of it, but nonetheless, I had a party, people sort of congregated in a basement, many of them hugged each other, and I remember the general vibe of like, I've heard about this Chinese thing, but I assume we're fine. And just because of the timing of it, I now look back on it and think, as recently as 9 weeks ago, I was celebrating my birthday thinking, I'm 40, I'm enjoying my life, everything is good, here are all my friends, we're all touching each other's faces indiscriminately. And all of it, it's almost as if that birthday was a sort of symbolic marker of like, right, your life is going well, enjoy your birthday, but also you should be aware this is the last time that all this stuff will ever happen.
Yeah, well, again, I do it every year. Almost as a joke, I say I think this year's going to be good, but this year was feeling very good for me. It was feeling like this is the year everything's just gonna turn over. Had a nice TV thing, couple of TV things coming up. Had some nice, well-paid gigs coming up. And
a lot of us saw 2020 as quite a promising looking year.
I was really... The only good thing that's happening until today, Mark, talking to you, was I'd booked Michael Palin for RHLSTP on the 6th of January, and I just thought, this is my life is complete. If that had gone... He was the first guest and the first one, and then every single other one was cancelled after that. If Michael Palin had been cancelled as well, that would have ruined the year for me. But the fact I got to talk to Michael Palin was...
I saw you tweeting about that, and I thought, bloody hell, even by the standards of that podcast, Palin is a new high, to be fair.
It is definitely that. Well, for me, it's a very personal high. So if I'd got to that stage and then it had been, because even the next week we cancelled on the day of the the next week one. People were saying you've got to cancel. I was going, well, I can't. I feel like weird if I cancel if every other West End theatre is open, and also I can't because contractually I'll have to pay back all the tickets. And so
there was this weird period, wasn't there, where we couldn't really cancel things, but we also should really be doing that.
Well, it sort of felt like, even at that point, I still felt, it's, the thing is, the economic damage of shutting everything down is going to be too great, and little gigs like this aren't going to make much difference. But very quickly it changed.
It's extraordinary. I had on that birthday party, which is, again, is February the 13th, so it's just over 2 months ago. I had a friend who'd recently come back from China, and she was saying, quite rightly, things like, this is going to, when this kicks in, she'd come back from China, quarantined herself for 14 days.
Right.
She was working there, and my thing was like, oh, great, you'll be able to come to my birthday party. I hadn't seen her for months because she was in China. And she was saying, I will come to your birthday party, but be aware this is quite a bad thing. And it wasn't that I didn't believe her, but like you, I thought, yeah, but what are they going to do? Shut down Pizza Express? I don't think so. So around that birthday was what I look back on as a kind of cognitive dissonance, where I thought to myself, okay, this clearly is a bad thing, but are you really telling me that all of our way of life will be sidelined indefinitely. I don't think I can picture that. And I continue to not be able to picture it.
Yeah.
Until we were meant to go to Australia, by we I mean me and my girlfriend on the something like the 15th of March, I think.
Right.
And I was meant to do the Melbourne Festival, basically 6 weeks in Australia. And until the 13th of March, it wasn't actually cancelled.
Right.
So I had this week where I was planning for a trip to Australia, with all of that involved, packing, all of it. I was simultaneously monitoring the news, thinking this could. And again, my main thing was like, well, it appears this won't happen, but I refuse to believe that is a thing, because if they cancelled the Melbourne Festival, that would mean we were in the worst situation that humanity has faced in my lifetime, and I don't believe that is going to happen. Yeah. That's the thing. You can refuse to acknowledge a lot of things by thinking, yeah, but that would be terrible, and terrible things don't happen that often. And this time, all of those aces have been played, basically.
Yeah. And, you know, it's symbolic for you that you turn 40 where your life is essentially over, and then it was. So.
And then it was over. Yeah, might as well. I mean, I had a really nice night on my birthday night, but perhaps I should have just like gathered everyone together at 2 a.m. and said, "This has been a great night. I'm really happy with my life," and then shot myself. and said, and no one at the time would have understood. No. But then 6 weeks on, I would have thought, right, he'd appreciated that his life had reached an apex.
We might be back. We might be okay. We might get back. I had a 40th birthday party, but not a 50th. I didn't do anything for my 50th birthday. So the 40th birthday, I think, is the last one that you can. I think these 10 years that you're about to experience, if you get through alive, which you should do as a 40-year-old, you know, it's a weird journey from like you definitely have a 40th birthday, but I'm not sure you have a 50th birthday, big 50th birthday.
Actually, since we're at the stage of our lives where I've always looked at your sort of your Edinburgh career, comedy career. You've always been about 10 odd years ahead of me. So I've always admired you and everything. So I might as well heed your advice here. How do you think, what does change between 40 and 50? I was in 40 was a good year for me. I'd already met my wife, but I sort of met my wife the second time when I was 40 and got together with my wife, and that changed my life in a lot of ways. I think, which is obviously just a personal thing that happened to me, but I think I was really enjoying. I think it's a golden time, especially for a man, 35 to maybe 44. I think so you've got a little while left. I think you're kind of fit. Nothing's really massively going wrong, and you're sort of the king of whatever domain you have created for yourself. And then from 45 onwards, it's a slow, proper slide down. When the 40 show, I did a joke about feeling you reached the top of your hill, and then it's a slide down to death. I remember that. But I think it's, you actually get. I think as a man, and it's slightly a personal thing, but I think you get about 35, and you're probably at the top of the hill, and the hill's like a table mountain. It's pretty flat, and then then down, and then it's down. I mean, there's lots to recommend. My life is a bit different because I've done everything so late. So having kids late is both good and bad, but it gives me something to push onwards and carry on for. Because I'd like to see them grow up a little bit. Career-wise, I wouldn't say that you appear to have slowed down the past few years. Have you felt things are different? Or
I think for me, it's sort of, again, I hit at 40, I kind of hit a point. Weirdly, I started podcasting the same month as I started dating my wife,
right?
And so I can. So it's easy for me to work out how long the relationship is because I just work out how long I've been podcasting, and then I can work out
experience with your life and your career when you're 40.
So, and I think the podcasting thing made a massive difference, right? I think if I hadn't started podcasting, something else might have happened. But it's a difficult period in. I mean, you know this as well because your career is. You've always been very prodigious and created lots of different things, but there was definitely a period almost at the same time as for me. I think like around 2010, I felt like things are picking up. This is going to be okay, and then and then tastes change, and you're in and out of favour a little bit, and it's up and down a bit. And then I think when you get to 40, less so as a man, but also as a man, then it can be like, we're looking at the 20 and 30-year-olds and what they're going to do. So I think for me, just to decide, again, I think with you, it's not a problem because you've always been very self-motivated and created your own stuff. We'll talk about. Yeah, I know you've got some stuff coming up.
Yeah, it's just
but yeah, I think to be able to take control of everything I was doing and just go, fuck it, I can't be bothered with waiting around for people to come to me. And then they did come to me a bit, but also I also knew that I could carry on. So to have that autonomy made a massive difference. But I don't think that's to do with my age. I think that's just to do with the way the chips fell for me or whatever.
Things did change as well, just in comedy. Doing your own thing became much more of a thing, I suppose, in the past 10 years or so. It is interesting, though, because obviously you look at people who are ahead of you in the in life's path and think, and I would be pretty happy with being where you are, I reckon, at 53.
I think most people should be, and that's what. But I also think as you get older, you just have a more you have a more reasonable way of looking at what you should be attaining. So at 25, I wanted to be Michael Palin or Rick Mayall or whatever. I wanted to be that level, and I'm sort of glad. I mean, it was never going to happen, but I'm sort of glad it didn't happen as well. But I think as you get older, just think, Christ, if I could be Michael Palin in terms of working on my career, or someone like Barry Cryer, or Tim Brooke Taylor, who we just lost, someone like those guys who just constantly had stuff to do and were creative and were interesting. That's actually much more of a success than that pinnacle. That it's some people get the pinnacle and stay up there, but not very many, and a lot of and it's very difficult to cope. And I personally never had that massive. Here's your massive thing. You're a huge star. I was always like, oh, this is nearly happening. This is nearly happening. Oh, it hasn't happened. No, it hasn't happened. But still have worked for 30 years pretty constantly. So, yeah, I'm very happy.
It's not bad, is it, really?
No.
I mean, it's interesting. I think probably, as you say, I had a period around just around the age of 30 where I thought it wasn't even that I thought I was about to become an enormous star. It was more that I felt that was what I ought to be aspiring to, because a lot of my contemporaries, like Russell Howard, McIntyre, I suppose Jason Manford, in the baldest possible terms, a lot of them became more famous than me and richer. And but if I look at the careers of those people, and I like all those guys, it's not about there's no disrespect to them, but like, even if I could have done what McIntyre has done, I wouldn't. There's no world in which I could be the sort of Mr. Saturday Night. It's just that you do tend to peg your ambitions against what similar people have done.
Of course, yeah.
It's taken me years to stop comparing myself to people like Russell, who are on a completely different trajectory, really.
Yeah, and it's and it's as you say, it's also can be very restrictive in terms of what you're allowed to do. So like, when I did Hitler Moustache, Hitler comes up again. I'm not obsessed with him, but if I'd been more successful, and weirdly it came at a time where I suddenly was getting panel shows again and had to go on panel shows with the moustache. But if I'd been more successful, someone would have gone, oh no, mate, don't do that, because we've got your whatever, we got the Saturday Night TV or whatever to think about, and that audience. And so creatively speaking, it's great just to be able to do whatever you want to do. But it's I think it's being able to carry on. And if you're creative, I mean, lots of comedians are creative, and lots of comedians are creative and then go into a position where they're less creative, and lots of comedians then decide, oh, I'd rather be creating stuff than necessarily be. I think there's no opportunities now. When in the 90s, when I was on TV, you could be on TV doing your comedy, and now the chances of doing that are minimal. You've got to write a sitcom, or you've got to do a panel show, and there's no opportunity to do a big sketch show. No. So you can't do stand up on anything more than a little. Here's your little segment. So
it's true. When I look at people like Russell Howard or Ramesh, I suppose most of the time they're doing their stuff on TV. They're still doing it in a reasonably constrained format. Like Russell is traveling the world with his mum or whatever, or Ramesh is. I mean, and this is again not to do down these people who I have a lot of time for, but I suppose what I'm saying is the idea that if you got more famous, you'd be able to do whatever you wanted is still an illusion, isn't it? It's always an illusion.
Yeah.
And probably quite a dangerous illusion, because you start looking at people like that and thinking, why haven't I done that But
Yeah.
the answer is, even if you could have done, you wouldn't have probably felt happy.
And they're not happy. Well, I mean, I'm not saying they're not happy, but I would keep going back to when I went to see Seinfeld at the O2. Like there was an after show party, and I'd never really get invited to those things, but like I'd been given really nice seats right near the beginning, right near the front, by this, because they were doing the guys who were promoting it were doing the Hitler moustache. I'm not obsessed with the DVD, and then I got invited to the after show party, which I don't usually do, and it was it was nearly every famous comedian in the country there, and the kind of people who've made it, and yet they were all kind of talking about which seat they had and who had the best box. And they're all looking over there. They all looked miserable, and they're all looking over their shoulder. Apart from Ricky Gervais, who looked happy, and he was probably at the top of the tree. But everyone else was like, oh God, how's they doing? Why they were all worried about their position in the. And I think if you've got that mentality of looking at other people wherever you are, you'll never be happy because you'll always be looking up at the next person.
It is true. Someone said to me years ago, if you think of whatever comedian you're jealous of, they'll be someone they are jealous of, and it pretty much does apply. Presumably, I don't know. I reckon Izzard is probably reasonably happy, but
I don't know. I mean, I think but he's a man driven by demons. I think so. Like a lot of comedians, and I know you have some demons within you, and I know there are issues within you, but I feel like Eddie, I think, has a lot of stuff from his past that he's trying to deal with.
Even when people have achieved an extremely high level it's generally at the expense of having had some sort of they've normally earned it in some way. I think what's good about what I'm satisfied with, I can hear my son yelling, but the fact is my son's got no option but to watch the rest of Son of Bigfoot here, because that's his fate. I do feel like I'm the thing to avoid is bitterness. Like people sometimes say to me, with people like Russell Howard and Michael McIntyre, I don't have any problem with the fact that they're doing well at all. I think your problems start if you look at yourself and think, not only should I be doing what they're doing, I am resentful of the fact that they are doing it. But with both Michael and Russell, for a start, I like them both. But even if I didn't like them, I have plenty of times I give myself a hard time for not having achieved more, but I never look at people like that and think, why are they successful? That's when you're in trouble, I think.
Yeah, it's natural to an extent to have that. It's natural to compare yourself, and it's natural to, and people want to pit you against other people as well a little bit. But I think that's you. As you get older, I think you just have a better understanding of what's really important. And I think also if you are genuinely happy, which I pretty much am, and it's very hard to be, and don't think I was ever happy in my 20s and 30s, and I think all the things I've got now make me mainly happy, and that's all you can do, because I think a lot of those people won't be happy because of that drive that keeps you going on. But anyway, things are going very well. I was going to talk about all sorts of things, but I saw today that Dan and Sandwich is your graphic novel. Is this right? That you wrote?
Yes, that's right.
Has been picked up by Universal Films. Is that correct? That was the news story that broke today, or was it?
Yeah, which so it's a graphic novel that I wrote with this illustrator called Oliver Harrod years ago, and I mean, so what it is it was originally optioned by Amblin, which is Steven Spielberg's company, which sounded really good, and it was really good.
Yeah.
But after a couple of years, they dropped it because a new CEO came in, and then it's now been taken up by Universal, and none of these things really affect me at all, because I don't know if you've had this situation, but sometimes the thing that you're connected with gets optioned, and it's a really good thing to talk about, and it sounds really good, but I have no control over it.
Right.
So all I do is every 6 months or so I get a phone call from someone in LA who says things like, "We'll get Emma Stone, we'll get Gosling, and then it goes cold for a bit, and I sort of quite like it.
Yeah.
If I had to make it into a film, I find that quite stressful. But as it is, I'm kind of just very tangentially connected to this world where, I mean, it has been optioned. It could be a movie, but and I've only ever been to LA twice, but my impression of Hollywood is just that these projects just keep happening, and almost everyone is insane, and almost none of it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot like telly here, really. Everything that gets talked about is almost certainly not going to happen. But
Yeah.
at least while something is in development, you can say, "Oh yeah, my thing is," and it is genuinely in development. The novel is optioned by them.
So what's the premise of the premise is that the guy, there are a couple, and the guy dies. Have I got this right?
Yeah, actually, the woman died.
The
They
woman
run a
dies.
restaurant and she dies tragically young. And the gist of it is he can see her again once a year at Halloween, when traditionally the dead come alive.
Yeah.
And do that for a while. But then he meets someone else, and the basic the premise rests on this idea that if he gets together with someone else, then he can't see her once a year anymore, kind of thing. So the book is about should you, if there is a perfect person, should you always cling to that, or is it possible to move on? The guy in the book has to confront this idea of, like, if I meet someone new, then I have to leave behind everything. So although it's a sort of supernatural setup, it's basically about love and commitment, and whether there is a one perfect person in the world
Yeah.
for you. And so it would make quite a good film.
Yeah.
But I've got no idea whether it ever will or not. And I don't even really, I'd love it if it happened. But again, we've talked about this, even with something in this country, you can't, even if it's your idea and you're almost totally in control of it, you have no control over whether it's going to be on telly or anything. So the idea that I can have any control over whether this film happens every time I speak to them, they say things like, we've got some very exciting names attached. It's exactly what you hear about, actually. Yeah. This Hollywood thing of, like, and to them it is real. To them it is one of the 4 projects that they're basing their film. But to me it means almost nothing. I would love it if it happened. But I'm sort of fine with it not happening as well, I would say.
But that's, but it's, if you're creative and you've been writing novels and scripts, and if you keep going, as I hope, because that's what I've been doing too, then eventually, if you can stay alive long enough, one of them will, just the law of averages, one of them will get through.
Exactly, yeah. That's the thing. If it happened, it would be brilliant. Yeah. And if it became a movie, it'd be brilliant. But equally, if not, I'd never set out I didn't wake up thinking this will be the thing that makes me famous. It's all about law of averages, isn't it?
It is. Stuff. It could become a bad movie as well. It could be they could do it really badly. And
that's the funny thing. Well, I've seen how much effort it takes on the part of a lot of different people just to get a movie to the point where it could happen.
Yeah.
And after all this, both of us know most movies are fairly shit. So there's a scenario where they jump through all of these hoops. Someone calls me and says it's happening, and then the film's still not very good. Yeah. You start wondering what it would take to actually make a good movie, because I've seen what the odds are like against even a shit movie being fun.
Oh, well.
In a way, yes, because you deserve a prize just for making a movie and it not being bad.
You went a bit weird. You went a bit. What's his name? I forgot. I can't think of the 70s singer who did that thing with his voice. Wah, 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 wah. You went a bit like that. What's he called?
Is it Peter Frampton?
Peter Frampton. You went a bit Peter Frampton. You're going a bit Peter Frampton, but I like it. Is there any progress with improvisation, my dear Watson? Is that likely to happen? I thought, like, in lockdown, it might be back.
This is the big question, isn't it? I know that people that are fans of this podcast, all of them are obsessed with getting improvisation, my dear. Is it my dear Mark Watson?
Yes, it's my dear improvisation, my dear Mark Watson, as you should know.
You would know.
Yeah.
You're the one that revived this format.
It's a good format.
Well, as you say, there is a real clamour for more content because of the lockdown. As of this morning, I've not heard anything about
Okay.
Improvisation, My Dear Watson, definitely coming back. But I assume it's likely to come back.
It should do. People are looking for lockdown. It's a perfect lockdown idea.
That's the thing. I feel like the world wasn't ready for it before, but now, surely, in a pandemic, if we can't revive Improvisation, My Dear Watson, in a pandemic, then
My Dear Mark Watson.
Sorry. It doesn't get any better over time.
I've come up with a format for you that's similar, that involves improvisation and Mark Watson, that I think might work for you. Because there's a lot. It's a bit like, the problem is you might have to pay Dave Gorman off. It's a bit like Dave Gorman's "Are You Dave Gorman" idea. But there's,
okay, right.
But there's a lot of people called Mark Watson.
But if the idea is strong enough, I'm sure that the producer of the show will pay.
Yeah, they will. And there's lots of. I've got 3 Mark Watsons here, and I wondered how far you could get. I mean, I was usually ask people if they've ever been mistaken for someone, but how far you could get with pretending to be the Mark Watson. It's a sort of improvisation. You'd have to be somehow like a like a candid camera kind of show where you'll pretend to be the other Mark Watson, but you don't have any prep. You just have to get stuck in the situation.
I'd love to try being another Mark Watson for a while.
you could. How do you think you get on with being Mark Watson, the research vice president, industrial? He's a head of industrial research for Omdia. I don't know what that is. He manages a team of global analysts and has direct responsibility for the core strategy, personnel, research analysis, and commercial planning of the practice. He oversees an extensive research portfolio that covers manufacturing technology and so on. He's been doing it since 2005. A, have you ever been mistaken for that Mark Watson in real life? Oh, you've gone, you've frozen. No, you're okay. And B, good. And B, how do you think you'd get on with pretending to be that Mark Watson if you were you have to improvise it?
I'd say those Mark Watsons are quite distinct from me.
Yeah.
Well, rather that Mark Watson. I feel like you've got 3, haven't you?
I think I've got 3. Let's have a look. I've definitely got 2.
I reckon that sounds like a tough Mark Watson for me to inhabit. I'd rather roll the dice and take on.
Okay. I'll give you this Mark Watson. You might have a better chance. You might know this. You might have been mistaken for this Mark Watson. Are you still there? You're freezing on my screen. I'm hoping you're still going.
I'm still here as far as I'm concerned.
Good. Dr. Mark Watson, head of major floras at the Royal Horticultural Gardens in Edinburgh. Have you ever been mistaken for him? There he is, if you want to see him at home. And I'll show you the first. This is the first Mark Watson. So I should have shown you. There he is. This is him. I've seen shows at the in Edinburgh at the Botanical Gardens.
Yeah, it's lovely there. Yeah.
So he specialises in the floristics of Himalayan countries and China.
So do I.
He collaborates with scientists worldwide, has led botanical expeditions to other temperate regions. Do you think you could pretend to be him?
I mean, he sounds like he has quite a fun life.
Yeah.
I don't know how long I could sustain it for, but I wouldn't mind posing as a botanist who goes all around the world.
Yeah. Okay.
I reckon if I have to be an alternative Mark Watson, that sounds like not a bad sell. Yeah.
So it could be called Improvisation. Are You Mark Watson? It could be called that. It's quite a long way away from the original pun, but it makes more sense.
It is, but to remind us all, the original pun didn't necessarily land with the commissioners itself.
Well, I hope it'll come back. I think they'll be desperate, and you could. Let's just go back to the classic Improvisation, My Dear Watson. You could be sitting in that bed in your spare room, drinking wine, and then you could say to other comedians, "Hey, you go out and improvise a scene where you're in a tobacconist," and then Izzy Sooty or whoever, Rufus Hound. I'm imagining this is the cast. I think I've got some of them right. Could go ahead and do it. What do you think?
It sounds like a goer to me. Yeah.
Good.
Listen, the world, I think we learned this from the third pod that I was on, and we're certainly learning it again here. The world needs an improvisation show based around Mark Watson.
Yeah,
it's about how we realise it.
Because improvisation sounds like elementary. That's why it has to happen. And your next Mark Watson, and that's like Dr. Watson. And that's why I think this has to happen.
it's a joke that it hasn't already happened when you think how much Elementary sounds like Improvisation.
When you think about that, and Mark Watson sounds like Dr. Watson even more.
It's it's the more you talk, the more furious I am that it hasn't already happened. Yeah, because
Well,
it's quite obviously meant to be.
we'll see. Okay, I'm going to ask you an emergency question
Ah, yes. Now,
because we haven't had many of these. These are some new ones. Over the last few months, I have watched every episode of How I Met Your Mother. What is the most degrading thing you've done to yourself for no apparent reason? I don't like How I Met Your Mother, and I've watched the whole lot, and it's not good. I didn't like it from the start, and I didn't like it by the end.
oh really?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it, but
No, it's bad.
I like that because there are so many shows that I'm behind with. If someone tells me that one of them is not worth bothering with, I'm delighted.
It's so bad it is worth bothering with, and it's really recent, and it feels like something from the 1980s.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so it's worth watching for that.
How Met Your Mother is in quite substantial territory of shows that I feel like I'm not gonna catch up with.
Okay.
So
There's a lot of it. It's really, it took me, every time my wife went out of the house, which was more in the old days, it would be more difficult now, I would watch How I Met Your Mother. I never did, my wife didn't want to watch it. She was correct to not want to watch it. And every time she went out for an hour or two, I'd watch 5 or 6 episodes of How I Met Your Mother in a row until I got through all, I think, 90 to 100 episodes, maybe.
We'll come to the emergency question, but what was it that kept you watching it, even though you didn't think it was?
I wanted to know how he met his
mother.
That's what got me in. I thought they might answer it like in episode 6, and I thought, well, maybe in episode 10. They can't stretch this out to episode 15, but they did. And they got me by that because it wasn't really about that. It was about people.
So the answer is, if you give a sitcom a title which is basically a premise to be solved or a question to be answered, you can hook someone for maybe around 100 episodes, even if they're not that into it.
And once you're to 50, you go, I've got to watch the rest now. I've got to find out how this fucking shit went down. It's disappointing. It's disappointing.
If you called the sitcom The Amazing Thing That You Learn in episode 46, you would basically have a captive audience.
Up to 46 and then nothing.
Now, the question was, how have you demeaned yourself?
What's the most degrading thing you've done to yourself for no apparent reason?
But we're not counting Improvisation, my dear Matt
No,
Watson.
I don't think. I think there's more degrading things in your back catalogue.
There definitely are.
I think that was a height Improvisation, my dear Watson. How about... I might be able to answer for you. How about Celebrity Island with Bear Grylls? Was that a humiliating moment, or was that
degrading because I was didn't have any food or drink, or a toilet, and was having panic attacks the whole time because it was lightning strikes. But to be honest, I don't think that fits the criterion of for no reason, because I firstly paid to do that, and secondly did appear on the TV.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to think of things which I've done, and I'm sure there are plenty of them which have been degrading, but weren't even rewarded in any way. I think you'd probably say, I mean, for no reason. Most of the things I've done degrading at least had some sort of financial recompense.
I didn't get anything. I didn't get anything for watching this show. I got nothing.
No. But mind you, I mean, I suppose with kids there's a lot of degrading situations, but again, you don't feel as if it's for nothing because you convince yourself that you're investing in their futures in some way. Actually, in a way, I think this is going back a bit, but at school we had to do swimming badges, and I had to swim 100 meters to get a certificate and a badge, and because the way it used to be done, the other kids would stand at the side of the pool and sort of clap as you went along, and because I was known to be a shit swimmer, there was a real atmosphere of like, look at this prick swimming 100 meters. We've already done it. And it wasn't quite for nothing because you got a badge to sew onto your swimming trunks. But when I think about how humiliating it was to swim this 100 meters and what the material game was, which was a badge. And even when you got the badge in assembly, everyone looked at the other like, remember when we swam 100 meters? What a dick. It took him 3 weeks. So I think probably... I left school with about 6 or 7 swimming badges. And each one of those was earned at the cost of significant personal degradation, and none of them gave me any respect. So maybe it's that.
I think it is that. That's a good answer. That's a very good answer. I'm glad.
Because it's not really a reward, is it? None
No.
of my swimming have helped me in adult life.
Well, unless you still have them and they're sewed to a shirt that you still wear.
They'll be somewhere. I've not worn them out. Even the 100-meter badge, I've not worn out in public for some years now, because it's surprising how little people respect that.
And look, let's talk about, before I forget to talk about it because I've drunk too much whiskey, let's talk about you're doing another of your marathon efforts. I mean, you're well known for these marathon shows, but there's another one coming up.
24-hour show, which is the sort of thing that I do, but I'd more or less stopped doing it. But then because of the pandemic, you think, well, everyone's in their house anyway, aren't they? So we might as well. Yeah, I'm doing it next Friday until 9 p.m. on Friday till 9 p.m. on Saturday is the idea.
Cool.
And it'll be me basically it'll be like this, but for 24 hours. Can you imagine?
I mean, I think we could push this to 24 hours. What have we done? We've done 51 minutes. I reckon we could do another 23 hours and 9 minutes.
How many people are still watching, though?
806 viewers in, according to my most recent update.
800? So more people than began. We've gained viewers.
And this will be about 3,000 or 4,000 people over the course of the people dipping in and out a little bit of these things.
That's not bad, is it?
But that's pretty good.
If I could get numbers anywhere near that, basically it will be, the 24-hour show will be like a feature-length version of this, with a rolling cast of comics, but it will all have the same atmosphere as this, i.e. let's just hope for the best. Yeah. Some of it will be me doing what you call comedy. A lot of it will be me crossing to other comedians and chatting to them.
Yeah.
Some of it will be, but the idea is to raise some money, but also to do a long comedy thing.
Yeah.
Which makes us all, because of course that was the weekend that McCullough Festival was meant to be.
Yes, yeah.
And Melbourne Festival was cancelled. Basically, all the festivals are gone. All of the get-togethers for comedians have gone, and you miss that professionally, but you also miss the feeling of everyone being together in one place.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. I know like Edinburgh's going to be gone or pretty much gone, and I mean Melbourne's such a kick in the teeth, I think, for certainly any Europe-based acts, because all that you get to go to Melbourne and then suddenly you don't get to go to Melbourne. There's quite a few people out there anyway, I think, when they have had to come home, certainly the New Zealand festivals. Are you still there? Have I lost you? Oh no, look, he's frozen in time. Have we lost Mark Watson? This can't happen. I'm hoping Chris Evans is furiously paddling underwater trying to get this back on. Here he is. Here's Chris Evans. How you doing, Chris?
Hello.
Oh, we're back. Hey, Mark. Are you there?
I had a terrible minute there where you just started talking about Edinburgh and then you just went...
I just disappeared. And that's how the coronavirus works. I just did that as a little play for you to make you understand how quickly just someone can go.
It was a little bit like an analogy for the way that everything we held dear has collapsed over the past 2 months. Yeah.
So if this goes at the same time, well, I'm glad. Amazingly, we're 3 long hours into doing these live rehearsals, and that's the first one that's first time we've actually lost someone. So that's good. But well, that sounds very exciting. If I can, it's over the weekend. It's very difficult for me to work over the weekend, but if I can think of something to do. I've got a.
It'd be nice to even just say hello to you.
I've got a snooker, but I can play. I can play a frame of snooker against 2 me's of anyone's choice. That's what I could do. People could choose the me's. There's 32 of them. We haven't met most of them yet, but
it's pretty good. The self-playing snooker is pretty good. In
Me 11 is very popular with the guys and some of the girls in the chat room. She's.
Well, this is when the snooker world championships should be happening.
Yeah. So that's what made me think I have to do it.
I miss it a lot.
Well, Mark, honestly. You should watch it. Yesterday's wasn't very good. The day before, I think, is one of the most exciting sporting occasions I've ever been involved in, which was me 14, the boring me, versus me 19, the successful version of me that had made it onto TV and had films and TV shows. And even though me 19 scored way more, he got an 8-ball break, which is unheard of in the whole of me self-playing snooker history. 8 balls in a row. He still lost, even though he got way more points. Because me 14 beat him on 2 black ball finishes. It was the most exciting thing you've ever seen. The chat room will back me up on that.
Okay, I bet it will. And I will go into that.
Andy McCake says, Richard, don't explain it. You sound mad. So they're backing me up. They're backing me up. Are you missing sport? I know you're a Bristol City fan. I watched you. I watched a little video of you talking about going to Bristol City and then going to see a Bristol City game on online today.
I would like it if there was football or snooker or tennis or something.
Well, there is snooker, so you don't need to include snooker.
Well, there's snooker. At least we've got snooker. Yeah. Well, I do miss it. I think I've said this on Twitter. There's been a lot of re-screening of famous sports matches and stuff like that, like, you know, famous England games and all the rest of it. And I haven't got involved with that at all because, you know, what I like about sport is you don't know who's going to win and stuff like that. And it's that's kind of, when I try to describe it to people, and I have plenty of friends who don't like sport, and but they do like something like, say, Game of Thrones, and I'll say to them, well, it's almost the same thing. Like when you watch Game of Thrones, you're sort of excited to see what's going to happen, and that's how I am with football. If you it's a bit different for you because you always know it'll be 2-1. You, among all people, are uniquely equipped to understand.
That's how football works, as I understand.
What's about to happen? Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it's not just that I miss football itself, because you can still watch old games and stuff. I miss the culture of waking up on a Saturday morning and thinking, these are today's matches. I wonder what will happen. I wonder who will win.
I mean, I'm not that into sport, but I still do miss it. And I support York City. And it's quite... the National Leagues today, as we speak, have just all been definitely suspended.
Yeah.
And then they have to make a decision. Like, York are top of the National League North. They've played two more games than Kings Lynn. But there's definitely two teams in that division who, if you're just going to say two of the teams are going to go up, those are the two teams. But will they say that? And is that fair?
It's really tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd like to see... It would be fair for them to go up, but you can't... Because the season was nearly over. We were 3/4 of the way through. And, but yeah, that's the thing. It's not just... I don't just miss the games. I miss this sort of... the general culture of it, I think. Yeah. And even if you don't like sport, it's the same with a lot of things. It's not... You don't just miss stand-up comedy because you can still watch that online. You miss going to a club and having a drink and being with your mates and stuff. I think that's what's difficult. We can replicate a lot of stuff online, but it's very difficult to replace the feeling of just, for want of a better phrase, doing stuff. Like, when you used to go to a football match, it wouldn't just be the match. You'd meet with your friends at lunchtime, maybe go for a pint, go to all those things that, you know, only temporarily, but they have been withdrawn.
Yeah.
From us.
Yeah, it'll come. You know, it's going to be weird because it'll come back, and it may never be exactly the same, but it probably will be pretty quickly, more or less the same. When it finally is over, whenever that may be. But it's a weird position to find, and it's not been. You know, we're a month in to lockdown now, pretty much exactly the day, I'd say, aren't we? So yeah.
It's the second. So yeah, basically, yeah.
And there'll probably be another month, and then we don't know beyond that. I mean, I don't feel it's too harsh for a month.
No, I think if another month, fine. Another couple of months, fine. You just want to see a world beyond it, don't you?
Yeah.
You want to be told, okay, if you do this for long enough, there'll be a return to some sort of normality. It's the not knowing that is strange, I think. But
if you support Bristol City or York City, it's probably better that the games aren't going ahead, isn't it?
We would never go up.
It's better for everyone, really, just to imagine what might have happened.
You know, like, perhaps I always knew that we weren't going to go up to the Premier League, but I don't think I needed the point to be made by a global pandemic suspending all sporting activities worldwide. I would have taken 9th place after that.
So anyway, look, where can we see your new... Where's it going to be on your new 24-hour marathon? I should say that.
I think it's the same place as this, basically, Twitch. Okay,
cool.
This is Twitch, isn't it?
This is Twitch. Well, we're on Twitch as we speak, yes. In the future, we'll be elsewhere.
I believe let's not worry about the future. Okay. I'm streaming it on Twitch and YouTube as well, I think, and stuff like that. And basically, it'll be just me talking and doing this sort of thing for absolutely ages. And it's on... So, Friday the 1st... Next Friday to next Saturday, it'll be a similar setup to this, Twitch, and people can interact. Although
Yes.
I think I won't see all of it because, of course, there'll be some dicks, and
Oh, will they be taking out? I'm allowing the dicks in. Let's see if there are any dicks in there anyway. No, they're all nice in here.
I
It's
think
on
in this
Watson.
situation,
King Rob's been in touch to say it's on Watson Comedy. So that'll be twitch.tv /
that's
Watson
okay, yeah.
Comedy.
Yes, the
That's
Twitch that you need is Watson Comedy.
Yeah.
And which was set up for the previous 24-hour show I did, which is the only other time that I've had occasion to use Twitch. I think there'll be some people posting sort of negative stuff, and probably 16 hours in, I won't deal with that very well.
Well, Mark, the thing is, like, there's lots of people talking. There's some things I do. You bother to look at the comments. Actually, it's like the early days of Twitter. It's lovely at the moment. Povatron saying I'm a dick, but apart from that, everyone else is okay. But you actually don't know when it's something like this. There isn't even time. I can't. It's lovely you're all commenting, and I'm sure you're having a lovely time. But there isn't even really time for me to look at the comments. The only thing I could look at, I play Football Manager, Kevin Tom's 1980s version.
The old one.
Yeah, and I can see because there's time to look at the comments there. But anyone who's watching that is by definition a wonderful person, so it's going to be fun.
Thing.
But it doesn't.
I think that most of the people that will stick with the 24-hour show will be people that are quite similar to me.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why would they bother doing that anyway?
But, you know, it's that comedians thing again, and that's a comedians thing you have to overcome, and that you see again and again on Facebook. If you're following comedians, they'll have 100 people telling they're great, and they'll have one person telling them they're terrible. And, you know, I understand it, because I've been there as well, but you will home in on the one person telling you you're terrible.
You inevitably will.
And, it's, you know, but you if everyone thought you were great, you wouldn't be that good. But also, you know, it doesn't matter what one person thinks. I think I've really got to the stage now where, like the other day, someone else tweeted, didn't even at me in. I searched for myself, not as a vanity thing, as a reality thing. And they said, Richard Herring must be very nice because he's definitely not funny. And so I tweeted them back like 6 minutes after they tweeted and said, no, mate, I'm a cunt. And I thought I thought that might make them laugh. I thought that might at least make them laugh, but it didn't. But
didn't work.
But you can't. You know, you're not going to be for everyone. One's not going to be for everyone. So I don't care that guy said that. And I just thought, let's try and make some comedy out of that happening. But
I think that's the more interesting stuff you do, the less likely you are to be for everybody.
Of course,
well.
But even if you're not doing, no one's for everyone. Eric Morecambe isn't for everyone, and Eric Morecambe is as close to being for everyone as you can be, I would say. But some people will tell you Eric Morecambe is terrible. So
the sooner you quit your desire to be for everyone, better off you are. I think it's probably fair to say. Yeah. So that's the thing. The 24-hour show, well, definitely there'll be some people that watch for 12 minutes and think this is shit, and then write this is shit on the Twitch or whatever. But probably, certainly, the good thing about a 24-hour long show is by the end of it, you really have whittled it down to the people that want to do that.
But I saw you tweeted something today to some, or maybe it was I was looking at one of your tweets, which was about sorry, mate, I'm going to have to block you because. But it was it was a very funny response to this guy. I'm going to have to let you go because I'm very busy at the moment. I don't have time to deal with this. But that's it. That's it.
For example, of having to block someone because it's just been a pain in the arse. And for ages, I sort of tolerated it, and I thought, well, we need to go our separate ways.
But you do, and there's no problem. I had one the other day, and it was someone I can't remember what was it about. I can't remember what it was about now. But it turned out to be. Oh, I think he was just saying. It was saying. He atted me in to this one at least. And he said something along the lines of, I like the podcast, but the host is very annoying. It's, you know, he's the worst thing about it. And you kind of go, well, that's sort of the shtick, isn't it? Anyway, so you haven't got it. But then we had a discussion about it, and he said, oh, well, I wish you'd leave the suck your own cock thing alone. I said, I think I haven't done that twice in the last 5 years. I kind of get bored of these things before everyone else. And then he said, is this because of Trump? Is this because of Trump you're saying this? And I said, what? He said, it's because of Trump. And then he said, my pictures of Trump. And he had a picture of what I thought was like the Tiger King guy from the Netflix thing. But if you clicked on it, you could see it was Trump's face superimposed on the Tiger King guy. And I just said to him, mate, I think we've gone as far as this is going to go. This is
we're different people, yeah. In a way,
it isn't about Trump. I don't particularly like Trump, but it's not. This is nothing to do with Trump. Me answering your question.
His issue is if you're watching the Richard Herring podcast saying this would be great if not for Richard Herring, then you need to accept that maybe
Yeah.
you're not the audience.
I said, there's other podcasts where you will see the same guest with a different person. He said there's a lot of them. It's a lot of them
that aren't Richard Herring, actually.
There are. It's terrible. It's a disgusting thing.
If all you want a podcast that hasn't got you on it, then it is. You will find one.
Let me ask you some more emergency questions. You can go anytime you want, but also equally you can stay for as long as you like, and we can get drunk.
Fine. If I go, I have to look after my children.
That's what I was thinking, and me too. Well, my kids are sleeping well, so it's all pretty good. This is a question I like that I haven't got written down, but we'll see if I can think of it in my drunken haze. If you are allowed one item or painting or anything from any museum in the art gallery in the world, you're allowed to take it home and it's yours. All the art galleries and museums of the world say, we like Mark Watson. We've all agreed he can have one thing from any museum or art gallery.
Oh,
what one thing would you say, I would like to have that one thing and own it?
A good question, isn't it?
I like it because it says a lot about a person, but also it's quite interesting.
Wow. Let me think. I mean, I tell you what, I'm a fan of L.S. Lowry.
Yeah.
I think, and there's a Lowry museum in Salford, obviously where the theatre is there, that's got dozens of Lowry paintings in, all of which I don't know quite why, but it really I find something very moving in these panoramas of hundreds of tiny figures scurrying off to work, or there's a football one going to the match, it's called, or so I'm pretty sure I'd nick a Lowry.
Yeah. You don't have to nick it, it's yours. They've all agreed you can have one.
It's not nicking, is it?
No.
Right. There's a
you can take it with impunity.
There's a painting called Going to the Match, which is by Ellis Lowry, which is just thousands of people flocking from the mine or the mill to this stadium in about, I suppose, the 30s. And to me, it speaks about something to do with what I love about football, which is the way that it unites a community or something. And I assume the original of that is in the Lowry Museum in Salford, Manchester. If I could have that, and bearing in mind I'm impunity, I'd be all over that.
Okay,
but if not that one, just almost any Lowry that basically I'd have one of those away.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Even they're just all each one of them is a real object lesson in just like kind of conveying I mean, I'm sure everyone watching knows Larry, but it's this kind of stick man, basically, matchstick man, and
matchstick men and matchstick cats and dogs,
as Status Quo sang. Yeah.
It was Brian and Matthew or someone, wasn't it? Brian painted matchstick men and matchstick cats and dogs. Didn't the Barron Knights do a version of it? He painted kids on the corner of the street who were having a snog. There was a Barron Knights version, and
the original, I think,
before your time.
But there was Status Quo did do
Brian and Michael.
Matchstick man, but Brian and Michael, there you go. So I think if I could have a huge early Lowry, that would be really nice. Yeah.
I was thinking,
I'm not stealing it, knowing that this
it's
has
yours.
been
It's gifted to you.
Done because the clause in the emergency question. Delighted, yeah.
I kind of fantasize about a world where everyone else has gone off in a spaceship. They've left me behind on purpose because they don't like me. I don't mind that. And the whole of the world is yours. Which building would you live in if you had the access? If everyone else had gone and you were living alone, is there a building you'd like to live in the world? It could be anywhere in the world.
That's harder. Now just thinking. I'm still reliving the original question and thinking, should I have gone for an original manuscript or something that's in a museum that's worth?
Well, it's about, but that's what's interesting, Mark. You went for something. I mean, it's not like it's not valuable what you chose, but you went for something for love rather than like. I think Richard Osman went straight in Mona Lisa, just so he could get the cash. He could convert it, take it to cash converters, bang, Mona Lisa. But you went for something. You went for something from the heart.
But it's true. But then there were manuscripts like the original manuscript of Anna Karenina is in the Tolstoy Museum.
Yeah.
And I think St. Petersburg. And if I had that, I'd love that, but that would also be more valuable. So I don't know if I played it right, but listen, these are not easy questions.
You could have had Rasputin's cock. That's in St. Petersburg as well. If you wanted to go to St. Petersburg, you could have had Rasputin's. It's disputed. Some people think it's a kind of pickle or something, but it could be his actual penis. If I was going to go to St. Petersburg, that'd be what I would take. It's Rasputin's cock.
This building question. Yeah, I mean, if you could live in any building, you'd probably go. Can you have a theme park or something?
You could go wherever you want. I tell you where I would like to live, and it's just completely. I would like to live in St Pancras Station, the massive hotel that's there. I would like to have that as
the Renaissance Hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to have the top floor of that as my house. That's where I'd like to live if I could live anywhere.
That'd be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
To live in that place.
And, it's very convenient for central London. It's you can also get the Eurostar out to Paris, and there's shops. There's a Marks and Spencers in the station. You can just get your food from, and you can walk into town from there.
Your own answer is almost perfect. If you could live there, you'd be so well set up.
Yeah.
And everyone else had gone as well.
Everyone else has gone, so it's, you don't have to stay there. You can go to the next place. I would quite like it. I say, would you like that? Would you like to be the only human being on Earth, or would you be upset if you're the only?
No, I think I'm quite a gregarious person.
Yeah.
On the whole, I don't think I would like that. I'd like to have some people that I could text and stuff. But if I did have the option of living alone in that hotel, for example, the hotel you've mentioned in St Pancras, I'd certainly be up for that. Yeah.
And maybe have some robots that waited on you, and also if you need to have sex, you could have sex with them. That's just something that could happen.
If you needed to.
If you needed to, then you could. How are you feeling about haircuts in this coronavirus era? Your hair's looking all right.
One yet. It's looking all right, but in about 2 to 3 weeks, it will be untenably long and bushy.
People in America seem very upset about the haircuts. They're protesting about not being able to get haircuts.
Yeah, some of them march on the White House because their hair is too long. Yeah. I think. I mean,
you've gone Metal Mickey in my ears. I don't know if that's for everyone. Is everyone getting a nice, clean? People are saying "ooh" for now here, biddy biddy biddy. I think we've got a bit Metal Mickey.
I'm trying to get closer to the microphone in case that helps.
I think it might be your end. I'm sounding good.
It might be my end.
We can on the podcast we can sort this out probably.
Of course we can. Yeah.
Exterminate Dalek. Haha. It's the people in the chat room have gone nuts on robot based. You're back. You're back to being Mark Watson. It's okay. Let's carry on.
Well, your hair looks pretty good.
I think I keep on going the wrong way because I'm looking at the wrong way around. I think it's going to get to an untenable length. I've been wearing 2 pairs of glasses, which is now my new trademark. Where's it gone? There we go. So I put because I've only really started wearing reading glasses all the time recently. So, and I used to have sunglasses to keep my hair out my face. So it's my new look. I think this is going to catch on. What do you think? Oh, we've lost Mark again. He's looking at me. Look at him. Oh, he's back. He's back. He's moving again.
I really like it.
Yeah, thank you. Good. That's nice to know. I'll ask you some emergency questions. I've got loads of more things to talk to you about, but I'm going to ask you some emergency questions because some people like these. Not that guy from America. He doesn't like it. I've already asked you if you ever tried to suck your own cock. You were one of the last people I asked.
Yeah, I remember.
Since then, have you tried to suck your own cock since then?
No, if anything, that conversation put me off it.
Did it? Okay. What is these are for kids. These are emergency questions for kids. What's your favourite type of dinosaur?
I suppose I'd go for the pterodactyl because flying dinosaur is pretty cool, isn't it?
There was another flying one I saw that I thought was superior to the pterodactyl, but I can't remember what it's called. When I went to Nebworth, there's some dinosaurs at Nebworth, which is quite near to me, and there was a really good, scary flying one, but I can't remember what it was called. I'll go back and look and let you know. I asked that one last week. Let's see if we can. I asked you about having sex with robots last time.
You did, yeah.
I did.
By the way, I probably should go soon because my children still do need to be put to bed.
Oh, do they? Okay, well, I'll let you go. I'll ask you a couple more questions.
Yeah, I've absolutely. I mean, it's been
I'm only keeping you here for your sake. That's the. I mean, I was ready to go a long time ago.
I wish. Yeah.
Well, here's a question that follows on. What's the worst thing that has become entangled in your hair?
Ooh.
Anything become entangled in there?
Sperm, I think, but no more questions on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that is bad. Was it your own sperm, Mark?
No, as I say, no more questions on that.
Okay. Cool. Well, look, it's been lovely to talk to you.
Yeah.
Let me just check. I've definitely got everything. We didn't talk about celebrity storage hunters. We didn't really talk about Bear Grylls.
Nah, there's plenty that we could come back to in a third appearance.
We can come back anytime. I mean, I might start doing these daily, right? To be honest, they're even more popular than me playing myself at snooker, which is unbelievable.
So I've got lots to say about emergency storage hunters or whatever.
Have you?
It was called.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
I bet.
Because I nearly died doing that. I had a motorcycle crash doing that. But again, we can come on to it.
Did you? Well, you've nearly died in every reality TV show you've done.
Yeah, my thing is I quite often nearly die.
Well, look, man, it's been very nice to catch up with you, and we'll look for. Hopefully, I'll be involved in your thing next week, or in the past.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this on audio, we'll sort out all the glitches, so people listening in the future will have no idea you turned into Metal Mickey, or EBGBGB from Buck Rogers. What's he called? What was the bloke from Buck Rogers in the 24th century called? EBGBGB. Oh no, I've just got to the point. What was he called? Chat room. Chat room. It's up to you. Tweaky from Buck Rogers.
They know everything.
You can always rely on them. They're like a human Google. Yeah. Look. Well, I mean, I could ask you what you're up to, but you're just going to be doing that and then sitting in the house drinking, wishing you hadn't had children.
Wishing I hadn't had children, and then a week from now, we do a 24-hour show, and we all hope for the absolute best.
And is it raising money for comedians or for venues or for
in the
NHS?
End, in 3 ways. So it goes between 3 ways between people in the comedy industry, Fair Share, which is a food charity,
Great.
and then a hospice charity that's struggling because of that. So basically, hopefully, everyone gets a bit, but we'll see how it goes.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for doing this, Mark. Good luck with everything. Good luck with the Hollywood success.
Thanks, Richard. I mean, it's been a pleasure. Good luck to you.
Absolutely. And I'll see you very soon. We'll get through this. You're only 40. You're fine. I have to worry. You're only 40. You're thin and 40.
We get through this. We bloody will.
And we're going to get through it. It's the hardest thing in the world. Thanks, everyone, for watching and listening. Oh, tomorrow we're showing I'm doing snooker, and then we're showing Christ on a Bike, my stand-up show on this Twitch channel, so do tune in for that tomorrow. The snooker's very good. You should really be watching it, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming along, Mark. And ladies and gentlemen, it's Mark Watson.
Good night, Richard Herring, and
Thank
all
you.
his fans.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
We've still got 717 in there. We've done all right. Bye-bye.
How'd you like them sky potatoes?